All right, Rebels, welcome to the Podcaster's Business Insider, the show where creators stop playing small and start building like business owners. Here, we don't chase downloads for vanity. We build systems, strategies, and shows that actually pay the bills. If you've ever felt like you're recording into the void, wondering if your podcast will ever grow into something real, this is where the guesswork ends, because you're not just a podcaster, you're a builder. And together, we're going to turn your microphone into a media empire. Now, today's guest is someone who truly lives that rebel spirit. He's known as the PodFather, my good friend, Roy Coughlan. Roy's founded 20 companies across 5 countries, started hustling at just the age of 9 years old, and transformed from being painfully shy to becoming a distinguished Toastmaster, a TEDx speaker, and a finalist in 5 international competitions. But his journey isn't just about success. It's about resilience. After losing everything and facing a $5 million liability lawsuit, Roy rebuilt his life, launching VA.World, BrainGym.Fitness, and 6 global podcasts, with 4 ranking in the top 0.5% worldwide. In this episode, we talk about why podcasting is still the most powerful tool for authority in 2025, and how to grow your show ethically without burnout, and the mindset that turns fear into confidence. So if you're ready to build something that lasts, lean in, because today the PodFather is in the house. Roy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John. Looking forward to it.
So you've been called the PodFather. How did that name actually? What's the story behind the name?
I was helping people get on shows. I'm one guy. I ended up getting him on about 250 shows, but after about 100, he says, "You're the PodFather." And the minute he said that, I was like, "Ooh, I like that." And then I just created a podcast called the PodFather, and it was just kind of helping people, kind of similar to yourself, helping people stay in the game. And yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. You and I have been friends for a long time. I'd say, 4 years now?
Yeah, we were doing
each other
a
4 years.
live one in a group, Freedom
Yeah.
Broadcasters as such, for it's maybe even longer at this stage. I think it's 5 years, is it?
Yeah, something like that. 4 or 5 years now. You're still in Poland, right?
I am indeed, yeah.
How is lovely Poland?
It's safe, unlike a lot of the world. So I'm happy I'm here. I can walk around and feel safe, and not worried about what's going on in the world. Unlike Ireland or the rest of Europe, and some other parts of the world as well. So
Very cool.
yeah,
Very
I just lucky with the move I made.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like, I see a lot of good stuff happening in Poland, and very strong leadership there, and so it's very good. It's very cool. It's very good. I wish most countries would take their role, but unfortunately, they're not. Back to the podcasting stuff and the business stuff, which actually ties into the business stuff, because the policies that certain nations put in for their businesses actually affects a lot of the businesses. We're seeing here in Canada a lot of businesses leaving because of the policies that are being brought forth by the Liberal government. Taxes is the one thing, which is why I have decided to create a company in Estonia rather than in Canada. I got lucky because I'm actually a European citizen and a Canadian citizen, so I can do that. But most people, they can't. How are the policies in Poland when it comes to like
business wise? No, I had a lot of companies. It's not good, because when you have VAT, and if somebody doesn't pay you, you have to pay the VAT. And like I was doing big developments and that nearly killed me at one stage. And then when they're to pay the VAT back, they have up to 6 months and they wait till the last day. If you're three big short, they send in the heavies to take your computers. So I have Estonia as well. I got rid of my companies in Poland. So yeah, but I'm looking at something at the moment and it's kind of like you can do a 6% tax up to, about 60, 70 grand. So that's not bad. So I'm looking at that, but it's through somebody else instead of my own kind of thing. Cause it's a headache with the accountants and everything. The Estonia thing is so easy.
I know.
I mean, I've had 20 companies. I've been maybe 5 countries. This is the easiest one. I have a system where I email the invoice, the whole lot is done, the accountant, I just pay the bill monthly, and it is simple. And that's the way it should be everywhere.
Yeah. Like you said, you founded 20 companies across 5 different countries. When did this entrepreneurship bug first take root inside of you?
Early. I was 9, washing cars, delivering leaflets. At 11, I started a newspaper round, and I was doing that up to college. And then with the money from that, at 14, I bought a lawnmower, went around cutting grass for a few years. I remember at 18, I was into motorbikes. Then I kind of said, "Ooh, I can buy a motorbike, paint it and sell it and spruce it up a bit." And I was making a couple of $100. Studied construction economics and management, and then started working for 2 companies, one for about 8.5 years, the other for about 3.5. But during that time as well, set up a company doing website design with another guy, and then moved to Poland, done loads of real estate, but other companies as well, did food truck, did mobile apps. Now I have a virtual assistance business, and the podcasting obviously is in lots of different things. And like sometimes people, they study something and they fear making a change and they think, oh, this is what I've done. At the end of the day, it's all about people. And if you can connect with people, or if you can sell, or whatever you're doing, or even partner with somebody with the skill set, you can do anything. So if you fear, Sunday night, if Sunday night is like, oh God, I have the week ahead of me, change. You're not a tree. You can move. Most people, they just chug through life and then they kind of live for retirement. That's a sad way to be living. Don't be living for retirement. Live today.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But you do have to eventually. You have to pay the bills one way or another. You have to get to that. You have to build to that point. The one thing that I've realized when we were in the same course, because Roy and I, we took the same course when it came to podcasting. Roy's been doing podcasting for a lot longer than I have, and we're going to get into that. But it was almost made like this empty promise that you're going to launch your podcast and all of a sudden you're going to have 100,000 downloads every single episode right off the bat. It's just, there was no expectation to the business growth part of it. Looking at your podcast as a business plan rather than just, something that you love to do. Because what I try to push with Podcasters Business Insider is that, yeah, you're going to be doing what you love to do, but you also have to realize the realization of this entity that you're building is going to take time. How long do you tell people it's going to take for you to get your podcast to actually start making you a little bit of money?
I'm going to just go back a little bit because the course that we did, that was a London Reel. And I would not encourage anyone to do it because the guy is a spammer. He sends emails, like 20 emails to unsubscribe and everything. Lots of promises. The reason I did it, because I started in 2018 and, I had a few podcasts. It was my 4th one that I went in to do that because I wanted to up my game. I thought it'd be better. It was the one that didn't go into the top of the charts because I followed their system. And what I found is the group I was in, all the people were coming to me for advice. And I kind of realized that I was like, they're all asking me. Your man hasn't a clue, just kind of leading. Hey, nice guy, but, he wasn't at the same level. And I was expecting. So sometimes you can get into things thinking that, like you said, you assume monetization and all this stuff because your man's bragging. You look, got massive millions of downloads and everything. And there's a lot of trickery to it. So be very careful who you choose when you're getting into this. What I say to people, And it's because there's a high flake rate. There's a high percentage of people that leave. So I think there was 110 or 117. There was over 100.
Yeah.
How many people are still podcasting? There's Grace. There's me. There's maybe not even 10.
Yeah.
And I've looked at the numbers. And if you do a search, how many podcasters are, it'll tell you 4 million. Like 4 million plus and all this. Within 90 days, it's only 700,000, which means they're gone basically. When it's within a month, some people do a monthly show, 425 or 450, something like that. Very high. So sometimes people are saying, is it saturated? It's not. Going back to your kind of question, I tell people, go in for a year, commit to a year. It's a slow burn, and don't do it for the money. Don't make this just for the money. Do it for the passion, do it for changing the world, do it for impacting something. And then the money will come from that. But don't expect, some people are lucky that they get out the gate and they land a client and stuff like that. You can set it up in different ways. But I would say it's a slow burn, and not to just think, I'm podcasting, I'm going to get 1 million downloads, because you know yourself. It's like a lot of times you launch and it's crickets and you're like, what? But my show is better than Joe Rogan's, and why is he getting a gazillion downloads? A lot of times these people, they were famous beforehand. They've got massive teams. They're all promoting each other in the circle that be, who people think are good boys. There's not really that many good boys out there. So when you are one of the good boys, you get heavily censored. But I would say main thing is promote yourself, because a lot of times people, they're looking at getting somebody else to be like, get a sponsor, and you're mentioning the stuff. But for example, like, you were doing the fitness. If you had McDonald's or Red Bull or gambling, they're the ones that are paying the bigger money to come in. But you would lose a lot of your audience, because they're saying, hey, this guy has no ethics. And you look at a lot of the influencers out there, a lot of magicians and everything, they're going to these people. And they don't care. So for me, even like I've even talked on it just recently about gambling. Like, you've a lot of top professional stars. They don't need the money, yet they're all promoting gambling. If you see someone's life being ruined. So for me, with digital inserts, I will not have gambling in it. Some people will, but I won't, because it's like, I'm against that. I'm kind of trying to promote a better world. So if I have an insert like that, so make sure you're ethical when you're having some sort of sponsor or a digital insert.
Why is podcasting still the best tool for authority and trust in 2025?
Well, I suppose, in America, you see CNN, compulsive liars, regurgitating lies. BBC in the UK, RT in Ireland, most countries have that, where, I don't know how many times I've seen situations where every single thing verbatim is just repeated. And it doesn't mean, like, there is some podcasters that are spewing lies as well, but at least you can get information that can actually help you. And you don't have to have the 1 million downloads. You can make an impact on 100 lives. Like I tell people that, like, if you go into a room, just say you're getting 20 downloads per episode, lots of people throwing the towel. I think, I'm a failure. But if you go into a room, I've done Toastmasters, where there's 20 people in the room, you're delighted to speak. And if you come back next week, the 20 people are there, or 2 leave and 3 come in, you're still speak. But unfortunately, people look at it and they think, oh, it's only 20, because everyone compares themselves to Mr. Beast and all the big boys. There's only a few of the big boys. There's a rest that are, and all you do is be consistent. And I constantly increase all mine. And even if you look at stats and stuff like that, listen notes and different, you can't trust them, because mine are going up. Yet the stats I was at, like, all my 6 have been in the top 5%. I had 4 in the top 0.5%. No, there's none in the 0.5% that gone to 1 or 2. Yet the numbers are way better. And even if I look at some of the stats, some people send me stuff, they go, oh, you've got this number. They're never right. So there's all the software, but what it is you've Apple, Spotify, you've all these different platforms. They don't want to share the information. They're holding their cards. And people think that there's a software that's telling you exactly the numbers, and it's not. And the problem with that is there's trickery as well, because there's people then pretending they've got numbers, charging high bucks for people to be guests on, and people don't do their homework or don't use someone like myself, or there's others that are good as well, and they're paying big bucks, and then they're going, I'm not getting any money out of this. I'm after, some people are charging $500, some are charging, I've seen some 10K they charge. And if you're selling high ticket items and you get a few sales, it's well worth it. It's okay. But there's times that people will show you them numbers and they mightn't even have 20 genuine listeners. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to get a sale.
Yeah. Actually, a couple of things that you wanted that you touched up on with the big names like the Mr. Beasts, the Joe Rogans, the Tucker Carlson's. That Tucker Carlson now has his podcast and he has millions of views every time he uploads something. That's another thing that a lot of podcasters or potential podcasters, they look at and they get deterred from. What would you tell these new podcasters? You touched up on it a little bit. I want you to dig a little bit deeper into it. What would you tell them when they're just starting out?
Be more about the message than the numbers. And everyone is kind of looking for the secret sauce to how to do this. Yeah, you can pay marketing bucks, but the one thing is you'll have all these people. If you start going and doing hashtag podcaster, podcasting and stuff like that, you'll have a gazillion people from abroad trying to go, hey, I can get you 500,000, $1 million. Everyone I know that has done that, they'll go along, whether they get 100,000 or more, they get it. It goes down and it's gone. Unfortunately, it's bought. Everybody would love to get genuine followers, pay the money. And even if a certain percentage only stayed, even if it was only 10%, you say, okay, at least I got 10% more and I'll do this every now and again. But unfortunately, a lot of the time when you're investing in this, it's not really working. So the best thing is kind of invest in yourself and start thinking about how I can do it. And the way I do it is track it. So what I would say is, even if you've got 10, try to get it to 11. Just keep looking at things and don't, like, I remember when the first one was the speaking podcast. And I think about 3 weeks, I was getting 100 downloads. I was just short of a few. And I was asking people in the Toastmasters, did you listen yet? Like, that was at a time when you were telling people, did you listen to my podcast? And they were saying, what's a podcast? I had to explain to some people what a podcast was. Thankfully, you don't have to do that these days. But then I got to 1,000. I remember when I got to 1 million, because I have a few shows. It was like, and now I'm in multi-millions. I mean, the Polish one is like, last time I looked, it was like 3.5 million between the audio and the video. And it's not that I track it and I'm just constantly putting it on BitChute, YouTube, Rumble, and I'm making sure that I'm doing the different things to make sure that the averages are going up. But it's not about the numbers. It's just kind of making sure that you're reaching people. So even if you go back earlier days when it's 100 or whatever, after a month, it doesn't matter. It's just start looking at what you're doing. And there's so much social media. Some things will serve you and others won't. For me, like I looked, Instagram I've kind of have the channels for Instagram. Never served me. I have like 500 followers or something like that. Never got much engagement. So I didn't put energy in between that. I see some podcasters it works from. So it depends on what you're using. And you can be lucky and you can just get the right hashtags and people start following and get build a bit of momentum. But for me, it was Facebook. So what you do is start playing with a few things, but don't try to be 50 of them and putting all your energy and never being there. So the thing is, you have to put engagement. So you can't just go in and go, here's my podcast, here's my podcast, here's my podcast, because there's no engagement. Whereas if you're in some group, and like a lot of people make this mistake, they go into podcasting groups. So like they're posting in 10 to 50 podcasting groups. And what I say to people, that's like a doctor's convention where you've got 1,000 doctors and they're looking for a patient. It's the exact same thing. Everyone thinks you're going to listen to my podcast, I'm going to listen to yours, and we're going to follow each other and listen. You're not there for that. You're there to find listeners. So stay away from them groups. The only thing is some of the groups might be sharing some tips and things like that. and it can be relevant. But for example, the speaking groups that I go into, the Polish one, I've got like foreigners in Poland, the Chicago's, those big Polish. I'm in about 50 groups. And, so when I'm posting and sharing it, but still when you see somebody you just engage, not engaging to say, hey, listen to my podcast, but something just answer somebody. So if you put a bit of time, I'm not saying spend hours and hours a day, but even if you say 15 to 30 minutes a day, whichever platform you feel works for you, put the energy, engagement, and people will find you. Because if you have your profile set up properly, they'll go in, oh, John, there's this podcast, click, and they can find you. They'll see the website. Some people don't even do that. So like my LinkedIn, exactly what I'm doing. The website, I've got all the podcasts to make it easy for people to find. And it's a case of when you do the engagement, all these numbers start building slowly but surely. And eventually you go, I've hit 1 million. I've hit 10 million, whatever it is.
Let's transition into speaking, because this is something that I've actually gotten into, I'd say maybe a month now. And my real focus right now is in public speaking. I am a Toastmaster. I just signed up in September. It's November now, and I just did my first speech. I've done podcasting for 3 years. I've been on lives with Roy, in group lives. I've done my own lives. And when I stood up in front of those 40 people, just to talk for 7 minutes, I sat down and I started shaking. I've never did that before, even after podcasting. I've never just sit down. People are asking me, how am I feel? I'm like, I'm still shaking. It's like 10, 15 minutes later. There was just this overwhelm of fear. How does somebody beat that? How do you overcome that fear of standing up in front of people and just talking?
So I'll tell you how shy I was first, and my journey for the speaking. When I was younger, I wasn't going into the shop. I'd give my friend the money to buy the sweets and stuff. When I was 18, I'd go into the bar with my friends. I wouldn't go up to the bar. I'd give my friend, when it was my round, I'd give the money. He'd go up. I just didn't like it. When I was even working for 2 companies in Ireland, I was like, the one part I hate, I was running multi-million pound jobs. I was like, at one stage, indirectly, there was like nearly 200 people under me between tradespeople and engineers and foremen. No problem dealing with people. But when it came to the meetings with maybe 20 people, architect clients and stuff like that, voice went terrified. And I decided, I kind of went through a process in Poland where I lost everything with real estate. I went to an event and it was What's Your Quest? And my quest was kind of exposing everything, which was The Awakening, the podcast that I kind of met you on through the London Real thing. But it was also, there was 2 brilliant speakers. And I was like, I need to overcome this fear. And I went back and I said, I'll go to a Toastmasters. And I was so shy, I had to bring my friends with me. They came and they were like, yeah, this is great, but we don't have time. And I wouldn't go back because I was so shy. And a new club opened. And I said, all right, it's new. I'm going to go. Will you sign up? Yeah, sign me up. Will you speak next week? Yeah, I'll speak next week. And I was kind of like all in. Then I joined the other club that I had originally went to. I formed my own club, International Entrepreneurs. I became a coach of a Finnish club. I became a DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, within 3 years. I entered all competitions. I got into the final of 5 countries. And I did open mic, open TEDx. And my point is, I had told myself a story. I'm shy. I don't speak, to becoming a competent speaker. And I mean, I've done probably 2,000 interviews in total between guesting and my own stuff. And I've done loads of lives, as you mentioned. So sometimes we kind of tell ourselves a story, or a parent might say, he's shy. Instead of the parent going, if you want ketchup in the restaurant, go up and ask for it, instead of doing everything for the child. So what I would say is, if you think you're shy, slap yourself in the head like I did and say, all right, that's just a story I told myself. If I can overcome it, where I told you how shy I was, anyone can overcome it. So, like, as you said, like, I remember, what was it? There's one of these apps, Clubhouse or something like that. It's like voice. And even after doing the podcasting and even being a distinguished Toastmaster, my voice went because it was a medium I wasn't used to, radio. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, and I just said, all right, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it. And after about 3 times, then it was grand. And then I got used to it and no problem. But like you said, like you kind of, because you would think you've done lives. I mean, most people couldn't do a live. They think I could never do that. I love doing lives. It's like, yeah, what you see is what you get. No problem. Because there's a lot of people trickery and stuff like that. And you can see some people, they're doing 50 takes. They make it look like it's right. But if you're watching it, you see the head moving a little bit. So you know they're constantly doing takes. I don't have time for that. I just do them as they are. So what I would say is just do it. And like your fear that you had, that will fade. And eventually you get confident. I mean, I became a mentor to over 10 people. And the thing is, then when you're a mentor, you start getting better. And you see people coming in, being where you were, shaking, and you just put your hand around them and go, well done. And that's what they need. And they'll come back the next week. Where some people, they don't have any support. So like Toastmasters is brilliant because you get somebody that's kind of just holding your hand as such and just making sure and saying, hey, this is good. I mean, there's a few people in there that they can ruin it for people because they're just negative, and that's just part of life. But when you have a few people in there, find somebody that just inspires you and just say, hey, can you be my mentor? Even if they appoint somebody else, just go to somebody that you go, I want to aspire to be that person.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very cool. What's the connection between speaking and podcasting?
I think it's more communication. It's like there was a different kind of program. I think it's Pathways now is and I completed 2 paths, but before that there was like 10 speeches that you complete, and then there was different books, and I started doing communications and talking on like TV and that kind of stuff where I'm interviewing people are interviewing me. So I kind of prepared myself for that, and I suppose we kind of panic at the start. It's like anything. Everything is when you don't know what to expect. You don't know how you're going to. And if you make an ass of yourself, it is what it is. And if you're podcasting and you're interviewing someone and it's just terrible, like you're not going to do your very first one live. You're just going to get used to it first, get things right. Once you get confident, you go, I can do this. Then you can, if you decide to do live, no problem. You can put it out to 20 different places if you want, depending on whatever system you use. But like, if I look at it, like the sound, there's times at the start, like I used to do a test and the microphone might click into the camera and it's crappy. And you're like, what happened? And then you don't do that again. Or you'd have, a sign on the door, don't knock. And I used to disconnect the doorbell and things like that. Or if I'm talking to somebody, I always wear the earphones and I hear a fan. And even there's some famous people and I'd stop it. I go, listen, you need to turn that off. Or if there's something happening and you're taking control of your show. It doesn't matter if you're just starting, but once you make sure that you try to get it as good as you can, but even if you're nervous, I know that sometimes, like if I was reading out the names, I'd be splutter, I get the name wrong, and it'd be and you just get used to it. It's okay. Like you go back and listen to yourself, you go back and listen to your earlier ones and you shake your head, but it's okay. At least you did it. It's all right. Like, as you say, you hear people say about a baby, like a baby's trying to walk, it falls. It doesn't say, that's the end of me walking, I'm going to crawl for the rest of my life. And that's the way we have to look at it, because we're comparing ourselves to the big boys, thinking we have to be so professional. It's okay, we're learning. And the main thing is to do it and have fun. If you make it, just laugh. Don't be beating yourself up. If something happens, have a laugh about it. Just don't do it again.
Yeah, I remember the one of the first lives I did for Podcasters Business Insider. My mic was not plugged in, so for half an hour in the live, it was like no audio, and I didn't realize it until after. I'm like, oh my god! So now every time I do one of these, even just recording podcasting, I make sure is the wire plugged into my microphone.
But like every time, even now, I mean, I've done so many podcasts. I go in and I check and I do a test. And sometimes I go on and someone says, I can't hear you. They're trying to blame you. And I go, okay, one sec, I'll do a test. No, mine's working. And I explain to them or write to them if they can't hear you or whatever. Just do a test. And they go, oh, I forgot to plug this in. And just have a laugh about it. But
It happens.
everybody like even say like, because I encourage sometimes people use the USB connector, because you can have the mixer and everything, but there's so many times that people don't understand that, and there's an extra few leads to be doing it, and they start fumbling, and then there's crackling and there's sound. So even at that, sometimes you want to be the most professional ever, have all the proper studio, the best of mics and all the leads. Sometimes kind of tone it down a bit, like the quality. Like Audio Technics, USB into it, it works. You get good sound out of it. And so you don't need to be really, like that's another thing. People think you have to be extremely technical. You don't. It's easy. Everything thing is simple. Editing, if you do edit, there's free software. Just cut and paste, insert if you're doing that. Everything is easy.
How did your mindset and your repetition transform you to go from the quietest person in the world, and I actually deem myself as the world's biggest introvert, into such a powerful communicator where you've won like so many awards with Toastmasters? And I know how hard Toastmasters is because I did my first one, and I read my entire speech. I was standing on the podium just reading my speech. I'm like, I memorized everything. The second I stood up there, everything just went out.
Well, I'll tell you a good one about that. My first speech, I call it a brain fart. Halfway through the speech, I just froze because I practiced a lot. But when there's about 40 eyeballs looking at you, it's a different situation. You kind of, because there's nobody looking at you as you're practicing. And it felt like 2 minutes, but it wasn't, because I waited a while to listen. I recorded all my speeches. I used that situation because what it was with a new club, you have existing Toastmasters. I didn't realize that half of them are existing, and then there's new people. All the existing gave me lovely compliments. All the new people were like, "Where's the entertainment? I could barely hear you down the back." I kept the pieces of paper that I got, and I used that as a comedy speech that got me into the final of the 5 countries. So when things go wrong, just laugh and joke, and just don't let it beat you up.
Cool. Let's switch gears here a little bit. Let's talk about your VA world. How does this help entrepreneurs scale effectively?
So with podcasting, a good way of doing it is creating the shorts. You've got a load of different things that people do. It ain't the case if you just go in and it creates fantastic clips all the time. Maybe they're getting a bit better, but I always found that I had to move it a bit, and it was a lot of time. So the way that I do it, I still edit all my shows, and I timestamp them. My team, the virtual assistants, then they create all the links, and they create shorts and post it in the right different places. So sometimes people think you need a full-time virtual assistant, and you don't. You can just get a few clips for the episodes. So you can just do packages. So that's what we're doing. I'm doing it in a way that I'm preventing the slimy boys, because before I'd done this, I mean, I had a recruitment license before when the Polish were moving to Ireland. I was actually placing people in construction. So I always, and I mean, I've had 20 companies, so I've always been kind of doing things like that. When I was doing the podcasting, I'd reach out to, say, Fiverr. I'd go to Fiverr.com, and I check the reviews, and I'd be like, grand, I'll get this person to do a few things. They start off grand. And then it's like, what's going on? It's like, I just keep getting rid of them. Then with Upwork, the same thing. You get somebody, and then you see the screenshots on Upwork. So you go in and you're looking at the screenshots. All right, I see they're in the Facebook, they're doing this. And after a while, it's like, what's going on? I don't see anything happening. I'm convinced half of them have about 20 computers, and they just have them open for the screenshots. So for us, it's a case of we were making sure that if we'd sit down, we'd talk to the person, find out exactly what they want. I mean, we can do websites. We can do a load of different things. We can even do an hourly rate. But a lot of the times, just say if it's for podcasters, we go, all right, we'll take the show, we create the shorts, we put them up, and it's X amount per month. and it's very reasonably priced. And what it does is it allows you then to concentrate on the interviews and the, growing the show, like, because that's happening in the background without you having to. I mean, you're going to check it, but you're going, okay, like, I don't even need to look at it now. It's just constantly going up, and it goes on all the different channels. I put the shorts on the Rumble, the BitChute, as well as YouTube. And sometimes, like, YouTube's a strange one, because there was times that you get good numbers. Now it's the shorts are getting massive numbers.
Yeah.
And like, I've tried everything. I've used software. I've used TubeBuddy. I've used vidIQ. Sometimes I get 100 that's telling me, oh, your title is good, your thumbnail is good, your this is good, and crickets. and then people put it up with just kind of as it is with a title and nothing much, and it gets 1,500 or something like that. And you're going, and it's the same when it goes on different places like Facebook. The shorts. So the shorts are definitely the way to go. And like, the way we do it is we create like your link. So a lot of people like Opus Clips, all these different things they create. Yeah, they can have even the text and everything is grand. But what happens is, if you're putting it out, you could say, find the show here. The platform doesn't want to take you, the viewer, away from their platform. So they're not going to be showing that to all the thousands. If you've got 3,000 on Facebook, you think it's showing the 3,000. It doesn't. And it doesn't want to take them away. People then started getting into find the link in the comments. So then the first comment, they go, show is here if you like this little clip. But they started getting aware of that as well. So that doesn't really help. What we do is we have it in the show, in the short. So you can find the show in the short. Mm-hmm. And it works, like, because it's constantly increasing. And I mean, sometimes, like, I put 6 shorts on, say, the Polish one on Facebook. I could get 10,000 views. Some people might never even, they can be a year and they mightn't even get 10,000 views. So like, I'm getting sometimes 70, 80,000 combined with everything a week. So, and it's the shorts are the ones that are helping. And all it is like, if somebody's listening to this and they listen to a certain clip from it, they go, oh, I like that. Then they go, I think I listened to the show. And you think they're going to find out and start going into your profile and find out. People are lazy. They just want something easy. Make it easy for them and put it out there. So, you asked about the virtual assistants. That's what we're doing. We're kind of doing it in a way that I know it works. And, people sometimes they come in, they start off on a little package. Maybe it's $100 a month. Maybe it's $300 a month. And then they just increase, or they do websites. And same thing, like, if we're doing websites, we can do really detailed websites. We can create courses. We can connect Stripe and all the payment system and everything, no problem. And we also show you how to do it. So if we had done a website for you, we show you exactly how to modify it and everything. But a lot of times people don't want that. And we don't crucify them with the thing. But what happens with a lot of times, if you're dealing with some companies, they go, oh, you want an extra page with the about page? Oh, that's and the hand comes out, and then the fees start going. So it's like a race to the bottom at the start. But then once they have you, and then you try to get your information back, and it's very hard. So I know people, they spend thousands, and then they don't even get. So what we do is we teach you how to do it. But if you want us to do it, we do it at a very reasonable price per hour, and that way then everyone's happy.
That's very cool. One of the things that I was about to get into, and I was playing around with the Fitness Oracle before I closed the doors on it, was getting a virtual assistant. And this is coming from a very, very big control freak. I'm a huge control freak. I want to control everything that comes, and it comes in and comes out of everything that I do, because I want to make sure that everything is the way that I want people to perceive my content. Then there's no questions about it. What are some of the tasks that you can, that a control freak like me can delegate to a virtual assistant to say, you know what, here's my SOP, here's what I want you, here's how I want you to run this stuff. What are some of the easiest low volume touch points where somebody like me can do that?
What I would say is you probably have to get out of your own way, because we've kind of worked with some people that, like, you talk about SOPs, like, this person had thousands, and then they were like, okay, you just take over and do this, and it was like, it was impossible, and in the end it didn't work out. Like, you just have to, we kind of sit down and go, what are you trying to achieve? Like sometimes people are trying to be perfect and they're trying to have all the bells and whistles. And at the end of the day, what you want to shut the grow. So sometimes you have to get out of the way. Just say, look, this is what I'm trying to achieve. And if you're trying to, I mean, I've done it myself. I've worked with people that everything had to be perfect. They needed the page when we're doing the show. Oh, the head has to be this way. It's have to do this. I want only these colors and everything. I've never seen it work out when someone is like that. So if you're like that and you want everything perfect, I'd say get out of your own way and just sit down and go, what do I need? Because at the end of the day, what do you want? You want your numbers to increase. And most people don't want to hear that. But that's we don't like working with somebody that wants everything that's like 100 things that has to be perfect. I've never seen somebody that does that having a fantastic show. I've seen a lot of people that do that. But what happens is they think everything has to be perfect, and then they slow the whole process down. And it's better to get 3 shows out and just it'll be grand. I mean, you still have the skill set and the things, but if you're trying to go, I want the intro, I want this, I want the music, I want the bells, I want this title, I want this. It's all time, and then what you go, I don't have the time to do this, and then you're not consistent. Whereas you're better off if you consistent, putting it outside. Say you decide to do 2 shows of this, and you put them out. If you put them out exactly the same time, I mean, I'm guilty of this. The Polish one, it's the most successful, and it's because I was always consistent. It was always like kind of Monday and Wednesday. Now I'm doing a remastering one as well, so I'm putting that out on the Tuesday. And the other ones are kind of haphazard. But if you can do, because if you don't have 6 shows or 10 shows, some people have 10 shows or whatever. If you can say, all right, I'm putting out 1 a week, it's going to be it. The reason that I say that's very important is, if you've got somebody that's following you, they go, oh, I know this show's going to be out there Wednesday. I listen to Blind Boy. Every Wednesday morning, he has an episode. He's like a year longer than me podcasting. He's never missed it. Even if it's Christmas Day, he puts out the episode. And that is more important than trying to have everything perfect. Because you think people are going to make a difference. And no, at the end of the day, it's a decent conversation. A decent conversation that people go, I enjoy that. I want to share that with people. Yeah. Whereas for example, I know somebody now and they've got like a 1-minute clips and stuff like that where it's all hey and it's all action and bells and whistles. And then you go into the interview and he's like, oh, and you're like, it's like you have to be consistent. There's no point in trying to be somebody else because there's people, yeah, you can do that. You can create something and go, hey, everybody come in. But I think then I'm getting that. So some people are attracted to that kind of energy, Clark and stuff like that. He'd wreck my head, like, because I know we on that show, but it was like too much energy, you know. Whereas, so you can't be kind of faking it either, because if you're making it look like this is the best thing ever, and then they come in and it's like real. So be consistent, be honest, be truthful, and regarding doing things like that, just to understand, is it serving you? Like if I'm having 100 things lined up, I mean, I've had loads of businesses and everything. sometimes like micromanaging, and in the end, the best thing is when you can. So I mean, obviously you sit down with somebody. It's not that you go here do this. You have to at the start make sure everything's right, but then you go off you go. You know what you're doing, and you go on and do your other things, and that way it will serve you. But if you have 50 different points and everything, nah. Because it's going to cost you more, and then you say, I don't want to be spending this, because you expect massive numbers, and you know, at the end of the day, it's a slow burn.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you, because I've noticed myself. I noticed myself being the bottleneck, and it's the hardest thing to take a good hard look at yourself as the owner of a company or as the owner of an entity, and saying that no, I'm the problem. Not my employees, not my contractors, not this person, not that person. I'm the problem. And I need to remove myself to get this ball rolling with this project or that project. What are some tricks that you can use for somebody to help remove themselves from that process?
I suppose you have to kind of break it down to what you're trying to achieve. And then, like, there's times we'll sit down with someone and I go, look, you're saying this is a 10-minute task and this is that. And you might be able to do something in 10 minutes because you've done it for 10 years in a row. And it's like, and is it really serving you? And you have to just kind of break it down into steps. Like, why am I do this? Why am I getting in the way? Like, what is the purpose of me making sure? Like, because like there's nothing worse if you're working for somebody and they're a micromanager. They're just, you have to run everything by them because it's just slowing it down. So sometimes it's 80%, and 80% is okay because you'll move at a way faster pace. So that 80% gets you here. Whereas if you're trying to get the 100% because it's back and forth and you're somewhere else and you're with a client and you decide to go to Greece for a week and everything just comes to a halt. And you just I think it's just take the steps. The main thing is like the way we do it. We sit down, we have a decent conversation, we find out exactly what you want. Then we send the quotation. We say, look, this is exactly what we're doing, what we agree. This is the time frame. And if somebody comes along and adds bells and whistles, we don't just do. We say, okay, look, a bell and a whistle is going to cost you X, and break down. And it's like, even if you have employees or whatever, just look at it and say, is it serving me? You just have to ask yourself, and sometimes just get your hand and slap yourself into the head and go, all right, it's not, I'm the problem. And that's okay as well. Just acknowledge that you're the problem. And if you want to make change, yeah, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to pass it over. But then if you look at it 6 months later, you go, that's the best thing I ever done. You rarely say, I wish I took it all back. I want to be in control. Because at the end of the day, we all want to free our time up. We don't want to be doing these mundane tasks. Because like even checking stats and stuff like that, like you want the AI to be doing it. Like some of them aren't able to do it. You can use the AI for a lot of stuff, but you want your life to be easier and not spending all your time doing like the editing. Like, for example, when I started first, I was using Audacity. I go in and I was cutting out all the long pauses, the ahs and ums and all this. I was spending hours. I just had the speaking, and then I'd upload it. And before I released it, I'd listen to it again to make sure it's okay. Maybe once or twice, I kind of went, "Ooh, good, I did that." And then now I just go, welcome to the show. You find me here, blah, blah, blah. And in I go. And all I just do is I use Adobe Enhancer, and that's it. I don't edit it. Yeah, the odd time something happens that you have to, or somebody kind of, courier comes, or like one time I was talking to a fellow now and an electrician knocked at the door. These things happen. You just cut it out. That's okay. But you would think that the one that I was doing with all taking out all the pauses and making sure everything is perfect would be way better and perform 100 times better than the other one, and it doesn't. And the thing is, when you're talking to somebody, every conversation you're having, people are having a pause, they're contemplating the question, they're using pause fillers.
Mm-hmm.
So why must it be perfect? And how I kind of came to that is I was listening to Joe Rogan, but Patrick Bet-David as well. They're putting them out as is. And I was like, listen, these are top. Like, I think Patrick Bet-David is one of the best podcasters. I don't like his team aren't great, but him himself, when he's just interviewing, he's fantastic. And that's the other thing as well. Look at a few of the people. I just learn from him and go, oh, I like his style. I just, even when you're doing a tour as well, you can go, like I do that, because you see someone has a different platform, somebody uses a different question. You're going, oh, that's good. And then you'll have a chit chat. And that's the beauty of podcasting as well. We're not competing. Everyone shares stuff. And we're trying to help each other. So when you're chatting with someone, what I would say as well, even if you're going to be podcasting, I tell people to do that. Go into a tour. Because one, it gets you confident talking. Two, you learn from different people's forms. So when you create your own form, create the best of the 10 or 20 or whatever you've been on. Learn from their questions, preparation. Ask them, hey, what software do you use? What AI do you use? What do you do this? And then you can actually decide, okay, I'm going to host it here because most people said this is a better one. And instead of just going on your own, there's a lot of people that will help you.
It's funny because I used to be that guy too. When I first started the podcast, my podcast, The Fitness Oracle, I was like editing everything, putting in pop-ups when specific time frames and everything. And it was like a 1 hour episode would take me about 4 hours to edit. And then I would rewatch it and re-listen to it. Now, the only thing that I do is I cut out the very beginning, cut out the little bit of pause that's in the beginning and a little bit at the end, the pause at the end. And I put my intro in the beginning and my outro at the end, and up it goes. Because it's like you said, like there are important pauses that we do as humans when we're having a conversation. And it's very important that people listen to it and they're like, oh, this is a real conversation. I think
And and like you mentioned, the intro and the outro. I mean, I had that for all of them. With the Polish, I had a beatboxer. He was from Toastmasters, a 16-year-old, joined under his dad's name because you have to be 18 to join. So I had him on in the speaking podcast. His episode done better than a lot of the famous people, because sometimes people think you get the famous person, you're going to get massive numbers, and it's not necessarily the state. Because what happens is these people, they're so excited to be the first podcast, they'll share it everywhere, and they get way more numbers for it. But with the intro, say the Polish one, I was using the beatbox and then meditation. I'd have brother made some lovely music, and I watch the analytics and I'm looking at all the stuff, and I'm like, people are fast forwarding. I do the same. Like I go on to Patrick Bet Davis, like small, it's 30 seconds, but I'm like, forward. I don't want to be hearing that. And I'm like, does it serve me? And when I took out the beatboxer, nobody had said that to me. About 20 people said, thanks be to God you took that out. It was driving me crazy. And if the other ones as well, it's like, it's time. So, like you said, 4 hours. I mean, I was the same. I was probably spending more time at the very start. And you will do more shows if you don't have to be doing all this different things. So sometimes it's great. And here's our host, John, da 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 da. And but do we really need it? If you're the first time and you said this show is about this, maybe it kind of explains to somebody. But your seasoned listeners, who are the most important, they just go forward. And sometimes it's just a case of, hey, this is the show. This is who I am. You find me here. And then this is my guest. And I'm doing that now. I've been doing it for a while. My numbers are still going up. And it's 10 times easier for me. Way less work. And I'm able to do so many shows because of that. I wouldn't be able to do them nowhere near the numbers that I've done if I kept doing it the way that I did at the start.
very cool. We're coming up close to the end of the show. And I'm pulling a page out of the Fitness Oracle, and I'm going to be doing 5 questions. You're my first episode that I'm recording. So episode 002. These are the 5 questions that I'm going to be asking every single guest, and I want your opinion on them. If you could go back to day one of your journey, what would you tell yourself before you hit record?
I suppose enjoy the process, because I was enjoying it and I kept at it and everything. But I think have the mission that it's like it's for a bigger thing. So with the speaking, I knew the pain that I had from having a fear of public speaking, so I knew I'm able to help people. With the fitness, that some people, they just need that little bit of coaching to kind of go, hey, you can do it. So when you've got the mission, and I think I didn't realize that at the time, and all the shows kind of came to that, but I think from the start, if you kind of realize the mission, you'll stay in it for the long haul, as opposed to thinking it's all about the numbers.
When motivation disappears and nobody's watching, what keeps you showing up anyways?
Good question. I think it's care about your listeners. So we all get curveballs in life. Something happens, there's different things. You just don't know what's around the corner. And it's more about not just you, it's about the mission. So when it's about the mission and you're serving people, and then sometimes you just get the comments. Sometimes, you just see the people giving the thumbs up. You've got some people that are just there all the time. Just do it for them. Right? Like if you just get the kind of, I don't want to get out of bed kind of thing. We've all had them kind of days, like, and just say, hey, John's listening to my show. I need to get up, and sometimes that's all you need.
Cool. What's the failure that punched you in the mouth, but ended up building your backbone?
For me, are you talking specific to podcasting or in life? Because
yeah, I guess we can. I guess we can go into the podcasting business side.
So one of the things that I did is, I think it was the second year, I decided, Christmas, family coming, yeah, take a couple of weeks. That couple of weeks kind of ended up being 2 months, and I went back thinking, hey, everybody's waiting for Roy. I never told anybody I was taking time off, and the numbers just went whoop, and I was like, oh, yeah. So it's like that failure, kind of taught me, one, have a lot in the backlog, because I always have plenty in the results, because you just don't know. There's times you could have 4 cancellations. It's just like, especially for the crypto, for me, they're kind of flaky as you can get. And you just don't know. They could just have a week of, you could have some day that you might have a whole week of 20 interviews, not one will cancel or whatever. And then you can have a day, you can have just 3 gone. So make sure that you've got plenty in the reserve. And even if you're doing seasons or whatever, make sure you tell your listeners, hey, I'm taking the season off. I'm going away for a month. I'm taking the Christmas off, whatever. Once you tell them, they'll wait for you. But if you say nothing, they think you're gone.
How has your idea of success changed? And what does it really mean to you now?
I think previously, and this kind of goes into business rather than podcasting, but they're all kind of connected. It was kind of working to build the bigger house, working to have the better car, working, everything was in the future. And now it's like, enjoy every single day. So even with the interviews, like, I mean, you know yourself from the previous show that you've done, you'll meet people and you go, wow, and you start changing your life. Even some of the live shows we've done, I mean, I've got books and I'm like, whoa, and I started learning common law and sovereignty. My life is 10 times better, but I make sure I'm totally present. And that's what I would encourage people to do.
If this mic went dead right now, right after this question, what's the final message that you would want every creator to hear?
Always have a spare mic. And I actually have one, and I've never needed it. I've used this one since I started, and I bought another one just in case, and I've never needed it. But so you never know. Camera, the spare camera and everything. Always be prepared. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Awesome. Right. Thank you so much for sharing your story and the lessons learned across the decades of entrepreneurship and podcasting. Your journey from shy beginnings to global stage shows what's possible when you refuse to settle for comfort and choose growth instead. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, John.
All right, Rebels, remember this. Your voice has power. Every episode you record, every story you tell, every time you hit publish, you're not just making noise. You're making history. Don't wait for permission. Don't play small. The world needs your voice, raw, real, and unapologetic. So keep creating, keep pushing boundaries, stay bold, stay sharp, and as always, long live the rebellion.